Hello, friends. Good afternoon and welcome to this session. And before we begin, uh, I would like to share a story which is about my life and how I first heard about surrender, and I didn't even realize what it may lead to. It's a bit of a longish story, but I think it will help you relate to this concept much better. And we can explore this further as we start discussing this topic in detail. It's a very powerful one. So first time I heard about this was when I was doing my MBA in Symbiosis Institute of Business Management. We had a professor of business strategy. And one day when I asked him a question in one of my one-to-one meetings with him, he said, "Que sera, que sera?" And I said, what does that mean? And he said, "Whatever will be, will be." At that time, it didn't make much sense to me. But, I just noted it, and and of course, I remember it now, we having that conversation. And I was in Pune, and a couple of months later, there's a very famous temple there of Sant Gyaneshwar. It's a Samadhi temple. He took Samadhi there, and I used to go there. And it so happened that on a Sunday morning, and I used to go there early in the morning around 5-6 a.m. so that I can have a quick darshan and come back and continue with my studies. So on this particular Sunday, the next day was my exam. And when I reached there, I realized that there is a very long queue, and it's going to take a lot of time, and I'll not be able to get back home in time to study. But I didn't feel like leaving the queue and heading back without the darshan. So I stayed on in the queue for darshan, and it took me nearly 12 hours for me to get the darshan. And then in the process, I lost the entire day. And I'm sure all of you have appeared for the exams, and you know how important the day just prior to the exam is. And I didn't realize at that point of time that what I was doing was I was surrendering my attachment to the outcome, which is to get good marks and top in the exam. And it so happened that even though I didn't study at all on the last day, I topped in my finance paper, topped as a number one. I came number one, and I ranked number one. And this was the only time, though I have been in the top few students, this is the only time in my life when I ranked number one or topped the particular exam on paper. So it so happened, but at that point of time, I didn't realize what. It's only now when I look back, I realize what was happening to me. And then I went on, I got a job from the campus and started working. And a couple of years later, in 2007, we had a family friend visiting us in Bombay. We used to live in Bombay. And then he talked to me, "Ashish, you need to flow like a river." And he talked to me about this book, Flowing Like a River by Paul Coelho. And I said, "Flowing like a river? No. I'm like, I used to work in an MNC, and, setting targets, deadlines, pressures, doing so much. I was very focused on doing, controlling, planning, deadlines, all of that, all of that used to happen." So flowing like a river, I said, "No, I'm the doer. How can I just flow? How can I just let things happen? How can I just surrender, things like that?" So I heard him out of respect, but it didn't kind of sink in. And this was 2007. So first time was 1994, second time 2007. And so on. It went on till about 6 months back when I got connected with Amrita once again, and we were talking. And Amrita talked to me about surrender. This time also my mental guard went up, and I said, "Surrender." But somewhere I realized that there is more to it, and it was not like how it was in 2007 when I completely discarded the idea. This time there was a resistance, but then I was also a little open to it. And it so happened by chance that about about 2 months after I had this conversation with Amrita, I get invited to a book reading club, book reading session, where they were discussing two books on that particular day. One was Eckhart Tolle, the Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and the second one was Surrender, the Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. And even then, which is as recently as 3-4 months back, I didn't know what surrender would lead me to and what surrender is. But then something in me was getting awakened, getting shaken up, and then I bought this book, of course, because I got impressed, and then I started reading it. And then another 1 month later, which is about 3 months before, from today, Amrita and I were discussing, and I said, why? So normally when I do my sessions, I have a structured format. I'm very planning oriented, like I mentioned earlier. There is a structure to the session we will have, and there is a learning outcome that needs to be there. There is return on time invested that every participant should get. So there is a lot of care we put into planning our sessions. Then I said, I had a discussion with Amrita. Amrita, why don't we have a session which is free flowing, and we come into a session, which is just discussion, and we don't have any set agenda or any set outcomes that we will have. We'll just talk, we'll pick up a topic and talk. And so we did our first session, which was happiness, which was very well appreciated. Then we did our second session, which was thank you and sorry, which is about gratitude and forgiveness. And that session was liked so much that it is now ranked #2 video on our YouTube channel. So some of you who are connected with us on YouTube, you can go and look up that video. And in case you are not, you can click on the link that is going to be put up on the chat and then get connected with us on YouTube. So I didn't realize then was that I'm giving up the I was surrendering the attachment to having an outcome of the session and, just free flowing. And, the results we started getting were very, very different. And then it so happened then another month after that, I got admitted into a hospital. And, some of you who know me, I'm from a healthcare background. I know how highly infectious the hospitals are, and especially, in a situation where I got COVID and I'm in a ward which has got all COVID patients. And to top it up, I got admitted into a general ward, which is just like how you see in the movies, like 10, 20 beds just put next to each other, all COVID patients. I freaked out. But what could one do, So I surrendered myself, to be taken care of and, just be. And the way it was, I got discharged, I got well and got discharged in 4 days' time. So, that was another time I practiced surrender, and to a point where we have come to having this session today on surrender. So the point I'm trying to make is it's been a long journey of about 25 plus years of surrender, hearing it first time, ke sera sera, to flowing like a figure, flowing like a river, and then, to the discussion we had 6 months back, and a couple of things. So I don't know when, there is a special reason you have joined this session. Nobody would come into a session on surrender just by chance, but maybe this is for you to figure out whether you are 25 years, ahead, or, you are 6 months or 12 years, or where you are in your journey is something you will figure out as we go along with the discussion. And before I invite Amrita to open up the session, I would like to take just a minute or two to introduce myself, because some of you are joining us for the first time. My name is Ashish Kumar, and I'm the founder of Mindful Living. I started this company in 2018 after working in the corporate sector for 25 years. We do sessions on mindfulness for corporates, and we have done mindfulness sessions for leading organizations like Tata Group, Aditya Birla Group, Times of India, CII, IBM, Airbnb, and many other blue chip multinational companies. And mindful, the community, the mindfulness.
Ashish, we're not able to hear you. Your video is frozen, Ashish. Yeah, now you're back.
Okay.
Bandwidth issue, I guess.
So, and the mindful living community is our initiative, which we started about 6 months back. And in the 6 months' time, we
You're
have.
going off again, Ashish.
Let me check. Give me a minute.
Internet issue must be there.
Okay. So I think it's a sign the universe is giving me to surrender to Amrita and over the session. So I'll just take a minute to introduce Amrita. Amrita is a life coach. She has lived in India, Dubai. She's living in Dubai now. Has worked in India, USA, and she comes with. She's a senior teacher of Art of Living Foundation. She is a special education teacher, and she has done a lot of work in this space. So over to you, Amrita, to talk about surrender. And as I mentioned earlier, this is a free-flowing format. Yes. Though we will be coming in with some points so that you get meat out of this session, but largely is free flowing. So please feel free to keep your cameras open. You can come in and speak any point of time or put it in chat. Let it be interactive. Let it be free flowing. And I welcome you all to this very special session. And with that, over to you, Amrita.
Thank you so much, Ashish. And thank you, first of all, for even putting together something like this, bringing people together into a tribe and talking about something which is very high energy conversation, right? Rather than chit-chatting on social media or watching news or whatever. So this is some good time to spend together, all of you. And what I want to say is that none of us over here, neither Ashish nor I, we are not pundits of the whole deep concept of surrender. It's a very, very deep topic. It's something which has a lot of layers to it, and it needs to be understood in depth, and people can spend an entire lifetime trying to understand what it is. But what we, just like all of you, bring with us is our personal experiences through the journey of life. There have been times when we have surrendered completely or when we haven't. And now, over a period of time, I think with awareness, I can speak for myself, I've become a lot more aware of when I am in a state of awareness of surrendering and when I'm putting a lot of obstacles on the way. So we are just here from a sense of having lived our lives, just like everybody over here. So like Ashish said, today is a session of discovering. It's not a discourse. It's not a discourse on surrender. It's just a session of discovering. And we are all going to come together to discover this. We are all going to learn from each other. So please share freely, like Ashish said, what you all think about whatever we are talking about. Express your opinion, express your experience so that we can all learn together, right? So let me start sharing my screen. But I would like everyone to just kind of come up and share with us, what do you think or feel when we say the word surrender? What does it mean to each one of you? How does it sound to you? What's your relationship with this word? You can feel free to start typing, or you can unmute and talk about it. So while we, Ashish, if we don't have any response, I think I'll just go ahead with something. This is like an observation of a certain survey done, some common points of view of what will happen if you let go of surrender. Somebody needs to mute themselves. There's a sound coming from somewhere. I think it's gone. Okay. So when you tell people, like, just let go and surrender, don't bother too much about it. Don't get too involved with it. So there are some common corresponding emotions that come up in people's minds, and we just want to share some of them. People would say, oh, if I don't do everything, if I don't get engaged and involved very actively, then nothing will get done. Now, I don't know if you guys agree, just feel free to keep chatting. Say Y for yes. If you don't agree with it, say N for no. But this is how commonly people feel that, oh, if I don't do anything, then nothing will get done. The other thing very commonly that comes up is that, oh, if I don't take charge and take control of the situation that's in front of me, then things will fall apart. This is another common, and we have all been there. I think I have felt like this in the past, I have to admit. Then certain people would say that nobody else will do it. If I don't do it, then nothing else gets done. I'm the one who has to do everything. And over a period of time, we become so involved, and it has become so engraved in us that we feel that, no, I'm the one, I have to do everything, I have to take charge. If I don't do it, then all these things, nothing will get done, things will fall apart. And if not anything, there is also, you will feel overwhelmed. And over here, I think I want to share something that I was talking to Ashish the other day. When I was very little, we grew up in the same town, Ashish and I. So we had this club where we could go for swimming. It had a wonderful swimming pool. So most of the kids in town would, just go and swim in the mornings, in the evenings. So we would go to this pool. And majority of the people that I knew, my friends who went with me, everybody kind of knew one which way or the other to swim. I was one of the very few who had no idea how to swim. And guess why? Because I would just not let go of the edge of the pool, where you can hold on to the wall or you can hold on to the rod of the ladder that you come down into the pool with. Holding on to that, I could flap my legs, I could put my head in, I could do whatever I needed to do. I could do it only when I was holding it. The moment I had to release or let go, I would feel like, oh my God, I'm going to drown, or I can't handle it. But mind you, I loved the water. And that's the reason why I would go every single year. I was growing out of my swimsuit, and my mom would keep getting me a bigger one every year. But this was my situation up until the age of 40. When I was 40 years old, and I had gone to India on a summer break with my daughter, who was 10 at that time. My mother-in-law was living in a place where there was a pool to access. So from the community, they had organized a swimming instructor to come in and teach swimming to whoever wanted to, adults, kids, whatever. I'm 40 at this point. And I said, okay, what's there to lose? Let me just go. But by this time, I had become so convinced in my mind, there's not one cell in my body that knows how to float. That's why everybody around me can learn how to swim. I've never been able to learn how to swim. But kid you not, when I went into this session, day one itself, I was floating on my own. I was not holding onto the rod. I was not holding onto the side. Though I had started like that, no, I want to stand at the edge. I don't want to come to the middle of the pool where he was, addressing everybody. I want to stand at the edge. Started like that. But he was able to, first of all, give certain instructions in such a way, certain tricks he taught, certain tips he gave. With that, by day two, I was actually swimming the width of the pool. The same person for so many years gone into access to so many pools, and I was unable to do that because I had a fear of letting go. So I was wondering what changed. How did I suddenly become this person? Day two, I was able to swim. So what changed? Mainly, of course, I had evolved, I had grown, maybe I had become more confident, and I learned some tips. When you learn some tips and tools in life, it always helps you to kind of open up and accept certain higher, practices of boosting yourself into your fullest power and living your life the best way that you can. So these are some common points of view. I would love you all to go ahead and share what else have any one of you felt when you were asked to just let go, or you wanted to be in charge, you wanted to control something. Just share some of your viewpoints, because I just shared my story. I would love to hear from all of you.
Yeah, Amrita, we've got some responses on the chat, but before that, I would just like to bring in a perspective. There's a very powerful story that you shared about clutching on to something and not letting go. And when you clutch on to things, there are one thing is you are fearful because it's a survival thing. If I let go of the railing, then I may drown. So it's a survival. So we clutch on to things, or we hang on to things thinking that if I let go, then I'll die, but you don't. And what we are doing in the process is we are, we stop ourselves from experiencing the entire pool or the larger world. We are just stuck to that one corner and, holding on to it, thinking that this is all that is there to life, and we is tightly there. And that is some of the remarks that we have got reflect that kind of thinking. So Jawahar says, surrender means acceptance, which is very, very powerful. Manish says surrender is like faith, which is also very true. And Neena ji says it's about trust. And Manish, there is a question from Manish, which says that how can we let go if we have surrounding who is dependent on you. So if there are people dependent on us, how do we let go? So that's the question from Manish.
That's
I
a
just
wonderful question.
Yeah.
And I would love, Manish, if you can hold on to that question, because we will be answering parts of what you asked. But the perspective with which you have asked the question is brilliant, because I think most of us can connect with what you're asking. So hold on to that. If you feel that during the course of the discussions today, if you have not attended to it, I would love to, because there are some things that are coming up, but it's a brilliant question because I think we all connect with that kind of a mindset. Thank you so much.
I'd just like to say something. One, of course, Amrita, if you hadn't narrated the story, we wouldn't have known that you grew up alongside Ashish. You look much younger. So, having said that, I wanted to actually share with all the participants here. I'm one person who's guilty of not letting go. I mean, I seem to clutch on, and therefore I think the session is extremely important. But having said that, when I look back at my life, I feel that when you don't let go yourself, nature makes you do that. Happened in my lifetime that we've been forced to let go, and only to sort of emerge better, stronger, and a better outcome. So
Wow.
consciously, I don't think I've ever done that. Letting go has not been easy.
True. But here is something, good point, Atul. That's true. Majority of us, like Ashish right at the beginning when he was narrating his situation during college time, again, he had no option, but he was able to get into that state of, okay, let me just surrender. And usually when we face certain very trying situations, because there's no other option to click on, we land up surrendering. That happens to a lot of us. But here is something I want all of you to think about. Unknowingly, maybe unwillingly, without knowledge, we are on a day-to-day basis always in a state of surrender. Now, to give you an example, say you go to a restaurant and you go through the menu, you go through the dishes that are listed there, and they all come with whatever ingredients go into each of them, and you pick one particular thing that you would like to order. You place the order with the waiter or the waitress, and then what do? They take your order. They just go inside the kitchen. They're getting the food ready to bring it out. You sitting and you're chit-chatting. How many of you go running behind the waiter all the way to the kitchen to see how the chef is cooking? What are they putting? Are they really putting the ingredients they talked about in the menu, or they're putting something else? How long are they cooking it? We don't go running towards them to see how they're doing it. We place the order and we sit back, right? The same way, if you need some legal help or legal advice or whatever, I am not the expert. I'm not a lawyer. What do? I go and give that particular case, whatever it is, whatever information or whatever I'm seeking for, I give it to the lawyer. And the lawyer is the champion. He's the expert. He knows how to do it. So he takes over. And I step back. Same with when you drive your car. You drive your car all right. Your car needs attending to. Sitting at home thinking about a mechanic, it is not going to get repaired. You got to drive physically, you got to drive your car and take it to the mechanic. But after that, what do? We step back. We are not involved we are not holding all the tools along with the mechanic, getting under the car. It is the job of the mechanic. He is doing what he needs to do. So somewhere or the other every day, and if you think about our body itself, what's happening? We're breathing in, we're breathing out. Are we constantly in control of that? Yeah, we bring our attention to it sometimes, but the breathing in and breathing out is happening on its own. I'm not doing anything about it. The pumping of the heart, that's also going on. The pumping of the blood, the veins, the nerves, the cells, everything is just working on its own. I am not a participant in that. But yes, while this whole body has been given to me with the capacity and the ability to function the way it is with all the system inside, I do have to maintain it. I do have to take care of it. But you see how subtly, somehow, surrendering has always been part of our life. It's just that we are not deliberately or consciously aware of, what we are actually doing. So let's quickly take a look at, so what is surrender? Let's just take a look at what is surrender. Okay, just a moment. Let me Something is stuck over here at my...
Not a problem. So while you're changing the slides, there is an interesting point from Suresh. Surrender itself is a difficult process unless someone knows how to do it. And Suresh, I hope by the end of the session, we are able to share with you one or two ways, simple ways in which we can practice surrender. Yes, yoga too is a way of practicing surrender.
Absolutely.
And let's see how we go ahead.
Sure,
And
sure.
on
So
that,
we will be going through this whole, we thought, Ashish and I thought that let's talk about first, what is it? What do we think about when we say surrender? What's the concept? What are we thinking about? Then let's look at why is it even such a big deal? Why do we need to surrender? Why is it such a topic to talk about? And then in the end, we will talk about how can we possibly become better at surrendering. You rightly said that surrendering is tough. Yes, it is very difficult, but then how can we make it a little easier? Okay, so that's the whole aim of today's discussion. So today we call it, and this I have to say, Ashish, this was a brilliant way of putting it, human doing versus human being. So now through our discussions, we say that this is another way of saying control versus trust. Like some of you shared that surrender is all about trust, but when I'm not trusting, then I'm wanting to be in charge. That is kind of control versus trust. Or we can also say it is like going upstream versus downstream. If you're trying to take your boat, or when you're taking a cycle, which is like there's a slope and you're going uphill, it's quite a task. You have to put in such a lot of effort. But when you're going downstream or downhill, you can just let go and you will automatically find your way down, right? Or we can also say that it is somewhat like resistance versus going with the flow. If I'm not going with the flow, what is the thing that's stopping me? My resistance. That's the only thing. So this is broadly kind of an understanding of what human doing and human being means to us in general in our day-to-day life. So let's look at what then is surrender. So human being, the being is being in a state of surrender. But if you look up a dictionary, the definition would come up somewhat like this. It would say that surrender means stop resisting to an enemy or opponent and submit to the authority. This is what we know from watching movies and all, when somebody just holds their hands up and they say, I surrender. So you are stopping the resistance to an enemy or an opponent, and you're submitting to the authority. But guess what? This is actually quite a profound definition, though. It's a very technical one that brings me to the spiritual interpretation of the same thing. Surrender is a word which is used to signify an energetic shift from force and control to receptivity and softness. And this definitely works at many levels, and we all have already experienced that. We'll be talking a little more in details on that. And we also need to look at what surrender is not. It does not mean passive acceptance. Like yesterday, I had gone for dinner to a friend's house, and then I was just telling them, look, it can't be a very late night because I have a session tomorrow morning. And so he asked, like, okay, so what is this session on? I said, it's on surrender. So, oh, so it's about giving up. I said, no, not giving up, giving in. So then he said, oh, you mean what we husbands do with our wives? No, that was his way of perceiving surrender. But that's what surrender is, not giving up, but it is giving in. And I so love this understanding of what is a passive acceptance and what is an active acceptance. It does not mean, because when you are in a state of passive acceptance, saying, oh, I give up, I can't do anything, it is what it is, you're coming from a space of weakness, that I can't do anything. I'm weak, I'm helpless, it's hopeless. But when you are in a state of active acceptance, whether the situation or whatever is going on in my life, it may be good, it may be bad, it may be horrific, it may be ugly, it could be whatever it is. But I am actively first accepting, making my peace with it, that this is what is happening right now in my life. Only when we put ourselves in that state of making our peace with what is going on, can I make the space free in my mind to start thinking what next. Otherwise, if my mind space is so filled with not accepting, how is this happening to me? Why me? Why should this happen to me? This is not fair. This should not be going on. This is absolutely rubbish, or whatever. If you go on and on and on with that kind of dialogue, then where is my preparedness to move to the next step? So this is certainly not passive acceptance. It is being in the state of full awareness of what is, and it is going on. I am being. We'll look a little more deeper into this. I see that there are some comments, but need more clarity on passive acceptance. Okay, so an example. Okay, let me say that. A set of parents, they come to know that their son has started taking drugs or sort of become a drug addict. Now, initially, of course, it's going to come and hit them hard. Like, how could this even happen? There would be thoughts of, we have never been this way. Nobody in the family has addiction. How did our child get into this? I mean, how could you do this? We haven't brought you up like this. So this is all while you're still not able to make your peace with the fact that our son has gotten into drugs. But after having done all of that, more often than not, people who are a little more pragmatic would say, okay, fine, enough of that whole bickering and holding him responsible, blaming him, questioning him. Let me make my peace with the fact that, okay, our son, whatever it is, whatever may be the reason, right or wrong, has now become a drug addict. Once you have made your peace with that, now you're thinking, okay, so what next? We need to look for some sort of a de-addiction program. We need to take him through some process of getting out of it. We need to build a trust in him that we are here to help. You're not all by yourself trying to get out of a habit that for whatever reason you have gotten into and you're suffering. We are here for you. Now, all these decisions, all these actions of what next, what can I do? These are the actions that is going to help you in making the situation better. But while I'm not doing, making my peace with it, and I'm engaging with why is this happening? How is this happening? Am I taking action towards making the situation better, or I'm stuck? So we make ourselves stuck in a situation when we get into a passive acceptance. Oh, this is what it is. And then, that the narration in the mind is unending. It can lead you to this. It will keep looping. I mean, how could this happen? I've always been a good person. Why has God given me a son who is, look at this one's child. There is unending script that can keep coming up in the mind, which is not going to serve our life. But once I have made my peace with it, okay, it is what it is. Then I can move forward. So does that make it a little more clear, Manish? Maybe we will be talking about more and more. Thank you. Good. So we will be talking, sharing more experiences. And in fact, at this point, if there is anybody else with us today, if you want to share any experience of an active acceptance or when you did not accept something, what it felt like, please feel free to share that with us at this point. Or Ashish, if you want to share anything.
There's another very interesting point Amrita made a while back, which is about, when we go to a restaurant, we accept, things that will happen. Similarly, when I take a flight, these days we don't fly, but earlier when we would fly, when I get into a plane, I realize that I'm surrendering to the pilot's ability and to the air traffic controller's ability to take off and land me safely. And, when there are disturbances in the air pockets and all of that, we have just surrendered to the pilot. And the pilot, my sister-in-law is a pilot, and I often ask her, is this thought playing on your mind that you're responsible for lives of 200 passengers who are there on the flight? So, we do surrender. But like you mentioned, we sometimes don't realize. Or when I went to the hospital, I surrendered to the environment there, to the doctors, to the nurses to take care of me. I was barely able to move those days, very low energy state. So we do surrender, and then we need to realize what is it, we need to surrender to, and what is it we need to act on. It's sometimes, like you said, it's not giving up, it's not passive. We need to realize that we need to continue doing, but we surrender the attachment to the outcome. I'm in the process of doing my goals for 2021. And I was, there was one goal I had set for myself, and I was feeling a lot of inner resistance. Whenever I would think of that goal, there was a lot of negativity which would come in me. And then I was wondering why it is so happening. And then to achieve that goal, of course, I had put in place an action plan on this is what I'll do. And then what I did was I surrendered my desire or attachment to the outcome. I said, I'll remain committed to the actions that I'll take, but I'll let go or I'll surrender the attachment to the outcome. So that way I can stay focused on what I am doing without being, and that's what Gita also says, phal kiye ja, karm kiye ja, phal ki.
Phal ki chinta mita de.
So you surrender the attachment to the outcome. So we need to understand what is it that we are surrendering, whether it is our fear that we are surrendering, whether it is our attachment to the outcome that we are surrendering, whether it is our like, dislike we are surrendering. What is it that we are surrendering? It's not action. It's not giving up. That is one thing I would like to clarify to everybody, because that's what, a lot of us in the corporate sector feel, "Arey, surrender matlab sab kuch chhod do, kuch karna nahi hai." Nahi, surrender is not like you give up action. You need to do action, but you need to surrender what goes beyond our circle of influence. So there are things which I can control, and there are things which are outside my control. So what is outside my control is where I'm trusting, is where I'm having faith, and is where the surrender comes, and you accept things with a sense of grace.
Beautiful. Very, very nice. Very nice. Ashish, we have some response here which I would like to attend to, because they're very, very nice. Ritu Menon, she says, active acceptance gives a sense of peace.
Yes.
True. Very true. Instead of the rumbling happening in the head of not accepting, it does give you a sense of peace. Very true. And Ritika says something where I love the choice of words here. She says, when do we know in a situation that we need to respond with passive, active acceptance without future risks or regrets? Now, every situation, I would say, it is preferable that we have a response to the situation rather than a reaction to the situation. I hope you understand the difference between the two. The reaction is coming like, at the spur of the moment, I didn't think impulsively, I just react to something. But response is a more planned thing. So even if, like the next question I saw where Manish, I'm going to loop that in, sometimes fruits are also important. No, Manish, fruits are always important, I would say. I feel, yes, fruits are obviously, what's the purpose of my living? What's the purpose of my doing anything? I want the ultimate fruit that everybody wants is to live with love, peace, and joy. That is the biggest fruit. Inside that fruit, now there are little seeds sitting inside that fruit, which we are all aiming at. Yes, everything is important. But what is important? The quality of the fruit. I just don't want to go and buy my favorite fruit from the market, but it's gone stale or it's old or whatever. I want fresh fruit that gives me the joy of consuming that fruit. So if we want that every outcome, whatever I'm working for, everybody wants a favorable outcome, right? Wherever you put in any effort, wherever you put in hard work, or you invest your money, or you invest your energy, or whatever, everybody's for sure looking for a favorable outcome. What we are talking about here is, how can I ensure that the outcome would be favorable, would be more supportive of what I need, would serve me the best? To uplift the quality of the outcome, surrender plays a very, very important role. Why? Because surrender is what? It's a state of mind. It is nothing but a state of mind. Whose mind? My mind. I am the one talking about the fruits I am looking forward to. So it's all about me. Now, if I am in that, like earlier you said that it gives you peace. Now, if I'm in a state of peace, isn't it more likely that whatever the project is in front of me, I'm going to be more focused, I'm going to be more creative, there is going to be more clarity. And when we have all these ingredients, then the outcome or the fruit is bound to be successful. When we are more focused, when we are more in it. But to create that, I have to put together that frame of mind, that state of mind, of mine, which can generate the best fruit out of me, which can generate the best outcome. But I have to upgrade myself, right? So surrender is one such tool that helps us to upgrade ourselves to our best version, from where we can do everything. Because when we are not surrendering, thinking about the fruit, thinking about, is it like Ashish said, when he's setting his goals, when he was thinking about the outcome, what was his state of mind he described? He said that there was a lot of resistance, there was disturbance. Do you think a person is going to conduct anything better with a state of disturbance or a state of peace? So it's just basically attending. I'm just saving my mind. I am taking care of my mind. I'm bringing my mind to a place from where I can do my best. Otherwise, I will fall short in doing my best because I engaged with attaching myself or worrying too much or getting too anxious or too feverish about what's going to happen. So Ashish said not Ashish, Manish said that he wants to share an experience which happened recently. Please go ahead. Please go ahead, Manish.
So just 6 months back, I started my organization 3 years back. It's purely a bootstrap, like we funded the organization on our own. And in the mid of that, we were I was just competing my development and the software development aspect with the company who is already heavily funded. The other side was 350 crores funded company, and we are just bootstrapped. So I was very anxious, highly anxious, and I was just scolding my development team that why we are not, what others are providing into the market, that the same platform. But after so many frustration, I couldn't get any result. So I thought that it's better to think that they are ahead of us. Let me be in peace. When I clarified my mind that actually they are way ahead than us, then thereafter I went to the other side of the coin, and then I started thinking that we need an investor who can fund our business. And accordingly, exactly that happened. The business got funded, and the product, maybe the sales I cannot comment immediately, but from the product standpoint of view, we are at par with them. So till the time I couldn't realize that yes, I have to accept they are far ahead than us because of obvious other reasons. So when at the same time when I accepted that and I started working on other aspects, immediately things went well. Means that was a recent experience from my business which I thought to share with everyone.
Amazing, amazing. Beautiful, Manish. I think you literally summed up. I think we can just shut shop and go home now. You literally summed up, what it does to us. See, again, like I said at the beginning, we really do not deeply understand the concept of surrender, but we are connected with the experience of surrender, right? We all are. This was your experience of when you accepted something the way it is. Again, you were able to respond to it. And your response has started generating the desired response that you're looking for from your business, from anything. Beautiful. That's a lovely example. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Ashish, you told me that there is somebody from Facebook.
Yes.
They share that it's about letting go the feeling that's bothering or consuming extra energy. Amazing. We will be talking about energy. Definitely we'll be taking our attention to how energy plays such a critical role in every experience of our lives, right? Brilliant. Awesome. Awesome. Very good. Please keep these shares coming in because it's so helpful for all of us to get deeper into understanding what we are trying to understand here. So let's now look at okay, so we thought that, I'm sure most of you must be familiar with Deepak Chopra. And when I was in my late teens or early 20s, that's when this particular book by Deepak Chopra, The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, came into my life. I read it. I loved it. I loved every bit of it. But to be very honest, I did not connect with a lot of parts of this book, which today, after having, gone through the 4-letter word life, then I learned, and then when I took my attention back to every spiritual law of success that Deepak Chopra talks about, it made a lot of sense. So from this, today we have picked the 4th law of the spiritual laws. And this 4th law, I'm just going to read it out from the book I have. It is the law of least effort. So the 4th spiritual law of success, the law of least effort, is based on the fact that nature's intelligence functions with effortless ease, with carefreeness, harmony, and love. This is the principle of do less and accomplish more. When we learn this lesson from nature, we easily fulfill our desires. If we observe nature at work, we see that the least effort is expended. Grass doesn't try to grow, it just grows. Fish doesn't try to swim, they just swim. This is the intrinsic nature. It is the nature of the sun to shine, and it is human nature to make our dreams manifest into physical form, easily and effortlessly. Beautiful words, easily and effortlessly. What is commonly called a miracle is actually an expression of the law of least effort. Least effort is expended when our actions are motivated by love, because nature is held together by the energy of love. When we seek power and control over other people, we spend energy in a wasteful way. When we seek money for personal gain only, we cut off the flow of energy to ourselves and we interfere with the expression of nature's intelligence. We waste our energy chasing the illusion of happiness instead of enjoying happiness in the moment. Attention to the whims of the ego consumes the greatest amount of energy. But when our internal reference point is our spirit, our actions are motivated by love and there is no waste of energy. Our energy multiplies and the surplus energy we gather can be channeled to create anything we want, including unlimited wealth. When we harness the power of harmony and love, we use our energy creatively for the experience of affluence and evolution. This is what I meant by we will be talking and visiting this whole aspect of energy, the role it plays in our life, and how we can govern and control the energy. We can make sure that the energy is pure and positive. Now, he also, I'm just going to read the bullet points at the end of it. He talks about how to experience the law of least effort. He talked about what it is. Now he talks about how to experience it. Number one, accept people, circumstances, and events as they are in the moment. We already spoke a bit about it. When confronted with any challenge, remind yourself this moment is as it should be, because the entire universe is as it should be. The second step to take towards this is take responsibility for your situation without blaming anything or anyone, including yourself. Every problem is an opportunity to take this moment and transform it into a greater benefit. Some of the examples that came up today are a highlight of this. You have converted your problems into opportunity to grow or to benefit from it. Number three is to relinquish the need to defend your point of view. In defenselessness, you remain open to all points of view, not rigidly attached to one of them. Now, this could be sometimes a little controversial and people feel that, how can I not defend myself? Defense is an important, it has its important role in our existence as humans on this planet. But the way it is meant over here is like, let me give you an example. Don't you think from your personal experience, it's always better, like what we are doing right now, to be in a state of discussion rather than being in a state of argument? Because when we are arguing, our entire attention, energy, everything is going towards proving that what I am saying, my view is right, that I am correct. You're trying to prove who is correct. But when we are discussing something, we are trying to discover what is the correct, what is the truth. So we are growing when we are in a state of discussion rather than debating and arguing. Yes, they can be healthy debates. I'm not saying that debate is always about people getting loggerheads and fighting with each other. No, but then sometimes we forget when we start to argue, sometimes we forget what it all started with, because the whole focus is moved towards being proven right. So it's not necessary that the person with the last word is always a winner. Sometimes you back off, you don't continue with an argument because the nature of the energy or the argument is not even giving any, it's not yielding any positive result. So it's good to be in that state of, and also it's amazing to be in a state of, I don't know. I don't have to literally put my stamping on every conversation, every topic, everything that comes up around me. There's so many things I don't know. So let me not be always in a state of, putting my energy into proving, into showing, into, displaying that, yes, I know. Yes, whatever I know, my knowledge has to serve me the best, so that my experience and my journey of life becomes absolutely optimum. I am able to dig deepest inside of me and pull out the champion that I truly am. That is why we need to use our knowledge, not to prove that I'm better than you. So being in that little state of defenselessness gives us power, because you're not engaging in wasting your energy, which again he talked about earlier. So I just completely feel so much in tune with this whole concept of being in a state of least resistance. It's like what we talked about earlier, like cycling uphill or rowing upstream or going downstream. There's no resistance. When there's no resistance, there's a flow, there is peace, there is clarity, there's joy, everything to benefit from, right? So we thought we'll just share this little something. If anybody has anything to comment here, please feel free to talk about it. Yes, healthy debate is also, yes, that's what, provided it's healthy. Yeah, that kind of makes it worthwhile when it's healthy. But many a times, like today especially, we see that people have gotten into it's my way or the highway, and discussions go on to, to a point where it's getting nowhere, but relationships are getting spoiled. People are getting into a fight with each other, and they are exercising their quality of judging other people. So all these negative emotions, which kind of suck into our energy and takes it away from us, we rather not go there. Let's conserve our energy, because see, energy, just like money, is finite. Everybody, even the richest person, has finite amount of money. So we look at energy as something very precious. We will invest our money only where we know there's going to be a good return on investment. We are not going to just waste our money away. We would be aware of how much money or the budgeting that we have, and we'll spend accordingly. We need to do the same with energy. Why should we freely give our energy into some sort of an unhealthy discussion where we are just finding and just doing that, what you say in Hindi, tu tu main. It's just such a lot of energy that gets wasted in that. But I need my energy to focus on what I want to achieve in life and stay in tune with that, right? So don't you think least resistance gives opportunity to others to think we are weak? Very, very good question. Look, your weakness, Manish, like you said, if you put least resistance, first we need to understand what is least resistance. Does that mean that you are not putting forth your entire skill sets and your talent and your qualities? No. It does not mean that you are not coming out in the open with all your abilities. If this is, say, you are 9 out of 10 on a particular area of your business, yes, you got to put in your 9 out of 10 there. Or if you're really 10 out of 10, you will go and put it out there. But you're doing it without any resistance. Like what you talked about, you have started your business, and the resistance that was coming in the way was that you started to compare. You were looking at other businesses and you were feeling that, oh, we are not there yet, or whatever. That is what we call as resistance. Least resistance is when you're not allowing any of those thoughts or any of those emotions to come into whatever you're trying to achieve, which is going to keep you away from achieving what you want to achieve. And at the end of it, when you go and get what you want to get, who looks weak? You come out strong. You come out successful. You come out somebody with the utmost inspiration, with clarity, with a lot of creativity. How can you be looked at as weak? But yes, it's true that there is a tendency to think like, if I'm not least resistance, does not mean that I'm not putting forth my best foot. It just means I'm negating all the extras, all the riffraffs that I don't need, that is not serving me. I'm not going to resist it. Let me just accept, let me be in a space of free flow, and then let me perform. My performance is going to get optimized. And when my performance is optimized, there is no way I can look weak in anybody's eyes, right? Well, very good. Good questions. Also, what others think is none of our business. Yeah, because what they are thinking is happening in their mind. It's entirely their property. Don't trespass. It's their property. Let them think, because they are creating the thought in their mind. So you continue doing what you're doing. Very good, Anil. Yes, absolutely. Very good point. So yeah,
I have a point, Suresh, here. But then what happens is, this is also a very debatable one, like what others think is none of a business. Because in today's world, today's society, the perception is very, very equally strong. Like now, what happens is, we live sometimes in an artificial kind of world. Our society, our status symbol, all these things, somehow we are influenced. Though I absolutely agree with, we should not get influenced what others think. But if you look at all the social media, so much of artificial thing is going on. So is it not perception is equally stronger to reality? I just want your comments on that.
Perception and reality. I would say there is a humongous gap between the two.
Okay.
Because when you look at, you brought a good point about social media. For instance, I mean, none of us put the woes of our life and what difficulties and challenges, or if it's money issue, is this issue. We don't keep talking about that on social media. What are we projecting ourselves as? We're talking about the best restaurants we gone to, the picture of the best food we ate and whatever. So that is how people start perceiving us. Oh, this person travels a lot. They go to such fabulous destinations. They're going to good restaurants and they're eating good food, such good locales. And that's what we are putting out there. So the world of social media or whatever outside is not connected with reality. Why? Because people are not choosing to display their reality out there. And whatever is your reality, only you have access to it. Nobody else can ever have access to your own reality. And if we really want to keep ourselves away from getting it sucked into this whole world of comparison and perceptions of other people and all that. That's why I always say this to all my clients or whenever I do my sessions, that it is so important for us to do digital detox. Why? Because digitally, we have been pushed and forced into practicing something which is very detrimental. And guess what that is? Can anybody tell me, what are we practicing on a regular basis with social media? Getting distracted.
Yes.
Distraction has become the call of the day. We are practicing it again and again and again every single day.
Exactly.
There's so many different, social medias that it's not like you're only on a Facebook, you're on this, you're on that. And then there are news, there are views, there are opinion. There's so much of chattering that's going on the outside. And
fact,
we just, yeah.
In fact, yesterday I signed for this 10 days Vipassana. I'm not able to think how I'm going to be without social media for 1 hour. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's true. I mean, yes, I like whenever the first time I went to do a silence program with Art of Living, and the same thing crossed my mind, and also all the people who had come there. We had to be in silence for 7 days. And
Yes.
no speaking. So the first day, of course, in the first half, while they, put you into groups and give you all the instructions and everything, that's when we are able to talk. But then we just get into silence. And I was a little apprehensive, and I was very young back then. I was like in my early 20s and all that. So I was feeling like, I don't know how I'm going to be silent for so many days, but I just went with the flow. And believe it or not, once I went into it and once things started to flow, one thing or the other, and whatever the, experience that's going on, it started to throw a lot of questions in my mind. First, I kept thinking, when I break my silence, I will go to the teacher and I'm going to ask him about this and I'm going to ask him about that. And it just went on and on in my head. But I kept my silence. I made sure I was committed to it. But at the end of all of that, last day, when I was told to, all of us were told that, okay, the time has come when everybody can break their silence and you can just say out loud whatever word comes to your mind. And guess what happened to me then? And it has happened to me ever since. Every silence program I've done since then, which is many, I cannot speak. I've gone so deep into that space of no disturbance, no talking, no, bickering, no nitpicking, nothing. And I've started, I didn't want to trade that for speaking. I said, I'm enjoying it so much. And guess what? Every question that was bothering me throughout that whole session, they started to just drop. It just started to drop. It just started to drop. By the end of it, I'd still decided I'll go and speak to the teacher. So I went up to him and then I realized I'm tongue-tied. I have no questions because the answers, I allowed the answers to come to me because I disconnected from the outer world. I disconnected, unplugged from the outer world, which automatically landed up in plugging with my inner world and getting in touch with me. So yes, initially it will, because see, you're so used to it, whatever you are used to doing on a regular basis becomes such a part of your life and you become good at it, whether it's an addiction or it is something good. Everything, whatever we do on a regular basis, it just becomes part of our life. So it's so important, this digital detox, particularly because we don't want to get sucked into other people's perception, because we have to be in touch with, because who I am, only I know. Nobody has any access to that, but I should be in touch with that rather than being in touch with other people on social media, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, I got the inside information about why oneself, why I'm doing this. There's something called FOMO, fear of missing out. So that constantly is within us as well. Like we are missing something in the world. Yeah.
See, fear of missing out is what? It's a fear.
Right.
It's a fear, right? And fear is a negative emotion, correct?
Correct.
And fear of missing out, where is it? Missing out on what? Something that I could possibly achieve or something I should have achieved by now. If we can get ourselves more connected with where we are, where are we living our lives? We are living it in the moment. Whatever has already happened is now residing in our memory. Whatever has not happened is sitting somewhere in the future, and we don't even know what it looks like. We may assume it's going to look like that, but who knows by the time we get there, what's it going to look like? So there is no real presence of neither the past nor the future. So what am I missing out on? What am I fearful about? There is nothing to be fearful. But if I bring my attention to the moment right now, right here, you will see that there is no room for fear. There is no room for fear because you're so in the moment, you're focused because something other is happening every moment, right? And you're focused on that. And you are busy doing that. You are into it. You're engaged with it. You have established a relationship with it. You have knocked the fear out. Sometimes I feel we must not make the effort to get out of fear or get out of any of the negative things we have inside of us. But instead of trying to get rid of something, which again is like resistance, which is again is like a lot of effort, it's not effortless. I feel it's so much better that I fill my mind space with some opposing things which are positive. If I keep filling myself with more and more and more positive things, and I take up the mind space and fill it up with all those positive things that would serve me well in my life and the people around me. And then the other things, when they don't find space, they're fighting to get in there, they're not finding the space, they will start to drop. They will start to dissolve. And you'll realize, without even putting any effort, you'll realize that, oh, I used to be like, I used to be a very angry person. In the sense, I would raise a fight with anybody, everywhere. I was called a fighter cock, like, just fighting with anybody and everywhere. How could you do this? Why did you throw a stone at a dog? Everybody I wanted to fight with. But I did not have to work on that. I started working on other thoughts, which to me came through Art of Living and through my guru, Sri Ravi Shankar. He brought such simple knowledge in such a powerful way that my attention, instead of engaging with fighting and this and that or whatever, I think more and more and more, I started to engage with those beautiful knowledge, with those powerful knowledge, and the corresponding experience, when that is very nice and fulfilling, would you like to trade that experience with an experience of distortion or despair or fear or anything? So this is, to me, I personally found a good way of, if you have fear, if you have worry, if you have any of these tendencies which are harmful for us, and we don't want them to be part of us, don't put too much pressure and too much effort into trying to get rid of them. Fill yourself with daily rituals and routine of practicing, which we will come to. We'll come to the tools that Ashish and I want to share with all of you. When you start installing them as a daily ritual, then you realize that there is no room for any of those things. I filled up myself with a lot of positive stuff. Jawahar is saying, I think what you guys are saying is that acceptance is 2 dimensions, depend on where you approach it for. Jawahar, can you throw a little more light on what your point over here? It seems very interesting. I would like to know a little more from you. What did you mean by acceptance has 2 dimensions? Are you talking about active and passive acceptance?
Yeah, so what I meant is, I've described it there. So basically, depends on which dimension you come in from, right? So I could be in a state of mind which I'm giving up on despite trying my best. So I'm clutching on a wall and somebody has pushed me away from the wall. So at that moment, I am accepting of that situation, but not very consciously, not very fully, right? So I'm still like emotionally attached there. So that's a negative one because I'm trying to fight that acceptance despite whatever I have done it, right? And the other dimension would be a very positive, full of confidence dimension, which is, that you're cognizant that this particular activity needs A, B, and C, and A and B are in my control and I'm doing my best for it. C is not in my control. So I keep a watch on that happens, but whatever happens at the end of the day, it is Yes.
True, true,
The
beautiful.
stock
Yes.
market, for example, it's not in your control,
Yes.
but you know what your analysis can be, and you do what you want and how much you put. But
and then you sit back and wait for the results to show up.
Yeah.
When it goes up, accept it. When it goes down, accept it.
Also, Jawahar, what is
so that's the active accept.
Yeah. And just would like to bring an element to that of trust. What is not in our control, taking forward your second point, that we do whatever we do, and then what is not in our control, we trust that it will go right, rather than worry about it. Many times what is outside our control, we tend to worry about it, and when we are worrying, we put negative energy after it. But when we trust, we are energizing it with positive energy, and believe you me, you can count, out of 10 times, if you trust that the outcomes will come right, 6, 7, 8 or 9 times, or 10 out of 10 times, the output will come as you would trust them to be. And the another dimension to what you're saying, Jawahar, is to be open to the signals which are coming in. So you mentioned about resistance, not going my way. So we are doing what we can do, but we are also observant of what are the messages I'm getting. Are there any signals? Sometimes we tend to miss those signals, but if we are open, we get those signals, and then we can maneuver our way in a manner which is like least effort that Amrita was talking about. It's like a river, how a river changes its course and keeps flowing, and it meets the ocean. So we flow a little bit, observing, changing our course, and being in a state of flow.
Agile, basically, you got to be agile, right? So you got to be in tune with the surroundings, do what you can, and then do your bit. That's what it is. But it takes a lot of courage, I must say. Yeah.
Yes. That's what I said right at the beginning, that this is something you do from courage, from strength. So it is not a sign of weakness to be able to trust fully that whatever is coming my way is what is meant to be, and it is the best. It is the best for me every which way. If I can have that kind of courage, it requires a lot of courage. But again, we were talking about the energy bit of it, like you're conserving your energy to divert take your energy to what you really want to work on, to get that fruit that we were talking about. Like Manish said, we all want fruits. Yes, we do want a fruit at the end of it. But to take you to that fruit, you need to pump in good quality energy into whatever you're doing. So it is, again, when you're accepting and when you are trusting, when you are in that state of surrender, when you're not resisting, when you're not worrying, then you are uplifting. You are definitely making sure that the quality of that energy or quality of your input, quality of whatever you are giving to whatever the task in hand is or whatever the project is, you're making sure it's a good quality one. And in acceptance, like...
So, Amrita, I have one word where sorry.
Go ahead.
You use the word surrender, right? So the word surrender should be understood correctly from what you're saying, the rest of the conversation. Surrender should not be, I've surrendered to whatever will happen. The way I see it is the active acceptance is looking at whatever is being coming your way, but accept the fact that whatever the outcome is, it will be. But do your bit. If you do not do your bit and just start praying there and expecting everything will work out correctly, if there are things within your control, right? If you are in a flight and then there are things, nothing in your control, weather is not in your control, the mechanics are not in your control. Obviously, there is that, there are levels of this surrender is what I'm trying to make here.
Correct.
Yes.
Because there are elements that you will be able to respond to, and there will be elements that you will not be able to respond to.
And again, surrendering would never mean that I'm not going to respond to. It's like the example you gave. Like I still have to do the action. The doing bit will still have to come from me. Like you rightly said, I can't say that, okay, I've got a flight ticket in my hand for a particular destination. And just because I have the flight ticket in my hand, I will reach there. No, I still have to make my journey to the airport. I still have to check in. I still have to board. I still have to fasten the seat belt, and then I still have to do my bit. But surrender and acceptance, they both come from the same state of being. same state of mind. I accept that whatever is going on, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, it is meant to be like this. It is supposed to be like this. It is okay the way it is. I'm making my peace with it. So even with surrender, it does not take away my intention of doing something about it. So I would like to rephrase the heading or the topic of today's discussion, human doing while being. You're doing whatever you're doing. You're taking every action that you need to. You're fulfilling every responsibility, every duty, whatever you need to do everything, but come from a space of being in a state of surrender. That surrender is more about your personal relationship with whatever is going on in your life right now. What is your personal relationship with it? We only look at relationships with other people, but whatever the situation is, what's my relationship? How I'm feeling about the relationship? Just because whatever is going on in my life is tough and difficult, am I getting abusive about the relationship, the situation, or am I getting frustrated about the relationship? What is my relationship? My relationship is that of acceptance and peace. But having established that, I also have a relationship with my intention, where I want to be. So I have to continue doing what I'm doing. So to me, it's like a conscious coupling with the relationship of whatever is happening to me right now. Even if somebody is not being nice to me, is being unfair to me, what is my reaction to it? What is my response? What is my thought about it? It is what it is. I am not trying to justify. I'm not trying to give reasons why somebody is the way they are. I am just going with the flow. That then in turn, yes, brings us closer to accepting the situation. So yes, it's true that surrender and acceptance, they are kind of like, closely knit, both of them, but one leads to the other, I would say. There are some more messages I see here. Despair. You have to accept the situation and let the outcome be in somebody else's hand. Let fate met out what it has in store for you. This negative approach pulls you down. That is giving up. I don't know, whatever will happen, it will get taken care of. It depends on from what state of mind I make that statement. There are two ways. That option is mine. I think that, okay, whatever it is, I am going to be good with it. I will continue to do what I'm supposed to do. I will continue to be the best version of myself, no matter how much life tries to pull me down, no matter how much people try to criticize me, no matter what anybody says to me about who I am and what I can achieve or not. But I'm still going to churn out the best version of myself because this is my life. So I don't care what is going on. So I don't go into that negative approach of whatever will be, will be. So that is like coming from the state of, weakness, that I give up. We're talking about giving into it, establishing a strong, good, positive relationship with it. Okay, you are the way you are, situation or person in my life. You may be good, you may be ugly, you may be whatever. You are the way you are, but it does not bother me. It does not create disturbance in me. I'm at peace with it. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. I'm seeing what it is. I'm not calling good bad or bad good. I'm seeing it. I'm not denying it. But I'm okay with it. I have a peaceful relationship with it. That's what I meant by how you establish your relationship with whatever is going on. The second point you raised was confidence, acceptance with full knowledge that you're doing your best and doing everything that you feel is in your control, and you're continuing to put it in that effort. Then letting go of that outcome will come from your confidence and acceptance of whatever the result will be. And I'll be happy with that. Absolutely. Very good. Very good. Awesome. Very nice, Jawahar. I like the points you raised. How do you differentiate, Sanjeev is asking, how do you differentiate between surrender and political correctness? Now, it depends on what you mean by political correctness, Sanjeev. What exactly do you mean by political correctness? It can mean different things to different people.
Yeah, so I think in today's corporate world, there is a leadership and there are people who are working under that leadership. Yeah, and it's very common practice that especially the leaders, they really don't want to hear about the problems. Yeah, and if you talk about the genuine problems and something which is really required to be done to fulfill certain objective, yeah, and so sometime it is not taken in the right spirit or in the stride. And there are people around the leader who are just trying to manipulate the situation or manage the situation. They don't want to be kind of bringing up those issues, and they just try to be kind of politically correct, and they just want to kind of become yes men, or they just don't bring up those issues. Yeah. And ultimately, I think the leadership, if he's really conscious, he will read into that. Otherwise, you have, say, a couple of years of your span, and if it doesn't happen, then there's a new leader brought in. Yeah. But sometimes the problem still remains the same, and there is unless you acknowledge there's a problem, you can never find a solution. So that's what. Yeah.
True. I get what you're saying. Now, you have brought about a particular topic that we can conduct another separate session on that altogether, about leadership and about.
I can cite a particular example which I see in my company. Yeah. So I'm in the field of software selling, and I'm responsible for Asia Pacific region. Yeah. And there is one particular business unit which is identified as the topmost growth area for the company globally. Yeah. And it is also very clear that when we look at the competition profile in the market and how we are doing, I think there is a lot we need to catch up, especially in terms of getting the right people to actually position our solutions, creating the right kind of architecture, the kind of right kind of proposals and all that. Yeah. But won't have those kind of people, and there are people who are just thinking that you can just cross train some people with some presentations and all that, and they will be able to pick up. But then there is no substitute for the experienced people who can really bring the knowledge, because this is a subject where a lot of experience is required. Yeah. And somehow for last I would say 2-3 years now, this particular business unit is suffering. Yeah. And people who really try to bring up the issues, they keep talking about it, but somehow there are others who say that no, there is no problem, we can manage, we can handle, but the results are not showing in that manner. Yeah.
Right. So basically, you're talking about a disconnect between what is the desired response, but how it is getting implemented, and as a result, we are not getting to the desired response. So this is something I bring up in my executive coaching sessions, and it's a very in-depth thing to talk about. And I don't think we have the bandwidth, but I appreciate the point you brought up. Yes, absolutely. I mean, I totally understand where you're coming from, and a lot of people today are dabbling with similar situations. So I'm sorry we don't have the bandwidth to get deeper into this, but I appreciate your bringing this up. Yes. So I think we'll just kind of move with this of why we were talking about earlier also. I mean, we need to look at why do we even need to surrender? What is the big deal about surrendering? Why is it so important? Because let me just run my... Okay. First of all, we already talked about peace of mind, how when we are in a state of surrender, there is no disturbance because you're flowing with the, going with the flow, you're going downstream. So yes, it can bring you peace of mind, and who in this world doesn't want peace of mind, right? Then we also spoke a little bit about saving energy. Yes, any negative emotion, disturbance, resistance, these are all things that are we are spending our energy. Even in Deepak Chopra's book, he spoke about that. We are wasting our energy when we are worrying, or when we are questioning too much, or when we are wondering why something is not happening, the frustrations. It is only going to spend your energy, and you will not be left with much energy to invest in what you really want to achieve. So we can save a lot of energy when we are in a state of surrender. Like I said, surrender is a state of mind. And create better energy field around you. Energy is not just about the quantity of energy I have. It is also about the quality of energy that I have. We are all made up of energy, right? We are all vibrating beings. Everything, every system working inside of us is generating an energy field around us, what we usually call somebody's aura, somebody's vibration. So we are all carrying an energy field, and this energy field is directly connected with our state of mind. So if I am in a state of positive thinking and in a state of positivity, then obviously the vibration of that energy, it's vibrating at a higher frequency, at a positive frequency. But if I am sitting and complaining and cribbing and frustrated or angry or whatever, then I'm bringing the energy field around me, that vibration is at a lower frequency. So we create a much better energy field around us. And as much as I wanted to talk about the leadership issues that you brought up, but this is one of the areas to work on. The more we work on our energy field, especially when where each one of us is an influencer. Whatever I do, I don't do, whatever I say, I don't say, is influencing a bunch of people around me directly or indirectly. So my energy field has an impact on other people who are coming in contact with me, or who I'm working with, or who I'm working for, whether it's my family, whether it's at workplace, whether it's with peers. So it's very important. This is again a topic which I think I can spend an entire day talking about it. I'm very, very closely connected to this whole topic of the energy that we are made up of. And but we'll move on. It creates a better emotional immunity. And today we know that having that emotional stamina is equally important, like you need to have a good physical stamina to go through everything. With COVID also taught us that not only do you need a good physical immunity, I mean, people with underlying issues and all that became more, they were attacked by this virus a lot worse than people who had stronger immunity. But that immunity, we know that our emotions, our thoughts are connected with our body. It's completely connected with our body. When you think about just your breath, when you're breathing, say you're very angry, you get very angry. What happens to your breathing? Your breathing becomes very fast. Where is the breathing happening? It's happening in my body. When you're angry, do you feel hot or do you feel cold? You start to feel hot. Where is the heat getting generated? In my body. So I'm just giving a very quick, simple example to draw that relationship, which we are already aware of, that there is a connection between our emotions and our body. Now, given this whole virus situation and everything, given the necessity that we all have to be, we can only build our immunity. Yes, now the vaccines are coming out, but not everybody has access to it. Not everybody is feeling comfortable taking it. But up until we get to a point where we can say, okay, we are COVID-free in this world, we definitely got to, COVID or no COVID, we definitely got to have a strong immunity system, whether it's physical or emotional. So when we are more and more in a state of surrender, pumping the good quality energy within us, then yes, it is going to pump up our emotional immunity as well, which is going to help us in everything, because life comes with too many challenges. Be more present in the moment. I think everybody, Ashish talked about the power of now. Eckhart Tolle is the best person to connect with, to understand the being in the moment. And I, of course, for the first time, I learned this whole beauty and power of the present moment from my guru, Sri Sri of Art of Living. Being in the moment can be absolutely life-changing. And we know that. And like we already talked about it, that only in the moment my life is happening. Everything else has either happened or not happened. So the present moment is the only inevitable moment in my life. But if I'm in a state of surrender, means I've established that relationship with the moment, that I am absolutely okay with just the way you are, the moment that is in front of me. So you are more and more present in the moment, and better relationship with any change. We saw that how change can be very difficult for certain people. Not everybody took this whole change of Corona very well. Some people, of course, physically and in terms of job, in terms of losing family members, they actually went through a lot of difficult situations and sad situations. But even a lot of other people who did not have a direct impact on them, indirectly, that whole change in your lifestyle of working from home, not being able to travel, not being able to see your near and dear ones, that kind of a change became so difficult. But if we are more and more and more practicing ourselves to be in acceptance, to be in a state of surrender, that I am, like I said, the relationship is good with whatever is happening right now, even if the moment has changed into or tripped into something totally different from what was happening all the time, or what I was used to, or what became my comfort zone. I became fine with it, but now totally something different is happening. My relationship with that change is going to be so much better, because I've been practicing my mind to be in that state of good relationship with every moment, whichever way, good, bad, ugly, it's coming up, I'm establishing a good relationship with it. But yes, we will be talking about even how do we establish that kind of a state of mind. You manifest better and sooner. Whatever we want in our life, we tend to manifest, because why? We've removed the resistance. We've removed everything from the way. So you are getting to your manifestation so much better. It's so important for us to, we know this again. I know I'm not saying anything brand new over here, but I would just like to bring your attention to something that helps me a lot to bring my attention to, that wherever my attention goes, energy flows. So I'm actually watering that plant. It's like watering that seed, watering that plant. I'm taking my attention and I'm going on watering one particular seed, one particular plant, but I'm not, watering something else over there. This flower, this plant is going to blossom. So you're putting in your energy wherever your attention is going. So to manifest something, my attention has to be on that energy of the goodness or the positive outcome that I'm looking for. But instead of that, if I'm constantly, but what if this happens? But what if that happens? Then I'm a little concerned this may not go the way I want it to. Where is my energy? So wherever your attention goes, your energy will just flow. So we tend to manifest better and sooner, whatever we want in our life. Over here, I also want to, if we have some time, Ashish, I don't know, I wanted to share a short story on about a monk. How this monk, he goes to a monastery. Like, he's not a monk, he's actually seeking to be a monk. So he visits a monastery which is on top of a hill. It has a little stream and a brook, and then it's at the top of a hill. He goes and spends few months over there. He gets his teachings and preachings and everything, and now he wants to go back to his village where he came from. So when he was being sent away from the monastery, the people at the monastery, very kind, they gave him a whole bag full of fruits so that he can, eat that during his journey. Not just that, they also gave him a map. And they gave him a map which told him that when you're rowing your boat coming down the stream, going towards his village, after this many miles or after this much time, on the right side, you would see there is an orchard. So you can replenish the fruits from that orchard. And then again, when you go another 3.5 miles or maybe another 20 minutes or something, on the left side, you would see there is a village. You could go and get some rest or maybe get some water from them or whatever. So likewise, the whole map was given to him that there is going to be a village here, there's going to be an orchard here, you have to travel this much. So he started his journey, and that whole journey was very beautiful because the nature all around, full bloom, lovely sky above. So he was really enjoying rowing down and full of joy and appreciation of what was going on around. And just like the map said, there's going to be an orchard on the right. After rowing for a particular time, there was an orchard on the right. So he happily went there, he plucked some fruits, he replenished his basket of fruits, and he continued. Again, just like the map said, he saw there was a village on the left side. So he went and he refreshed and he just picked up some more food or water or whatever from the villagers. He rested a little bit and he started going again. But here is what happened. After a point, whatever was coming up on his left or right was not matching with what was on the map. The map said there's going to be an orchard, but there was no orchard. And instead of the orchard coming up on the right, much ahead it came up on the left. Same happened with the village. When the village was supposed to come up, it did not come up. And much later, it came up on the wrong side. So now his mind started to think, what is going on? Did I miss something? Did I miss a turn? Or was I not following it correctly? Guess what happened as a result of that? It reduced the experience of joy, which he was already experiencing anyway. Coming down the stream, he would have still reached his village anyway. Whether the village came up on the left or right, whether the orchard was 2 miles away or 3 miles away, it doesn't matter. He was already in a state of, enjoying everything, in a state of appreciation and happiness. But that expectation of how it must be and how it should be, it reduced the joy that he was already expecting. So being in a state of surrender, coming to terms with, okay, so what? I'm seeing the map is saying there should have been an orchard here, but it is not there. I establish a good relationship with it's not there. I don't establish a relationship of how come? Why isn't it there? I don't go there. That's not my relationship with this moment. I'm absolutely in tune with it, I'm absolutely in acceptance of it, then guess what? We will land up feeling and experiencing a lot more joy in our life, isn't it? But this story was something that had moved me so much, and it keeps coming up in my mind, and I'd heard it almost 20 plus years ago, and it still keeps coming up. So I thought I'll share that with all of you. And then there is some more merit I had listed out over here. Smoother experience of your life, and obviously, I mean, that goes without saying. I think we have spoken enough and more about how when you're not putting effort, when you're not trying to control an influence which is out of your control and out of your influence, you're saving energy, you're saving your mind, you're uplifting the quality of your energy, then yes, of course, life has to be a lot more smoother, right? No matter what is going on. So now that brings us to the topic of how do we get better at all that we just talked about. We spoke so much about acceptance, so much about surrendering, but how can I make myself better at doing this? Well, like I always say, whatever you practice regularly on a regular basis, you become good at it, whether you're practicing something good or something bad. So basically, all we need to do is install some daily routine and rituals into our lives that supports this whole mindset, that supports this whole emotional stamina, that supports saving our mind. So we need to make sure consciously. And one of the things in that I always talk about is the digital detox, which we talked about earlier. Being attached to social media and to whatever is happening digitally all the time, every day, 24/7, whenever, first thing in the morning as I wake up, I look at it, and before going to sleep, I look at it. Is it really serving me very well? It's not aligned with what I want in my life. So let me drop that habit. Let me pick another habit, which in turn is perhaps going to help me a lot more in getting closer to becoming that person who can be in a state of surrender more often than not. So let's just look at a few things that we put together. The first, of course, is always practicing gratitude. Ashish will agree with me. We can just talk about gratitude like every single day of the month and have sessions on it and still not get done with it. That's the power of gratitude. And I'm sure majority of you who've joined us today, you may have already started experiencing what it is to practice gratitude. We all know what gratitude is. We've all been in state of gratitude. But when you make it a practice, every single day, I will take my mind and I will list out 10 or 15 things that I'm grateful for today. And if we do that in a particular way, which was very powerful for me, every single day I must list fresh, new 5 or 10 or 15 things. Absolutely brand new, not the ones that I talked about already yesterday. What I talked about already yesterday, those things I can feel gratitude for that during the course of the day. But that practicing gratitude in the morning in my journal, I will write something new, something fresh. So I do that, say, for about 4 days or 5 days or 6 days. Now I've run out of all the things that I'm apparently and obviously thankful for. My family, my car, my health, my this, my that, all those obvious things I've already made it to my list. Now what? Then guess what the mind is doing? This is how we train the mind. You have to teach the mind. The mind starts looking for, okay, what else am I grateful for? Oh yes, my eyes, my ears, my heart. And then we start looking, oh, my car, my slippers, my footwear, the hot water in the shower. Then we start looking and looking and looking. So you have engaged your mind in trying to look for what you have or what you are already, rather than the mind getting engaged with what I don't have and I want, and I'm frustrated and I'm angry. I'm shifting and I'm reprogramming, rewiring my mind to keep being in a state of gratitude of what I have, what I have, what I have. And that will slowly bring about a shift of the trust that, oh yeah, I have so much. So I trust the system. I have been given so much in my life. I trust my life. I trust that I'm taken care of. Only when we have that attention. But if I'm sitting and thinking, I don't have this is so unfair in my life, everybody around me has this, but I don't. I'm looking at social media, wow, these people are going to such good destinations for holidays, but I'm not even able to go to my backyard. If I start looking at all of that, my mind is now disconnected from what I already have. So how can that mind feel surrender? So it's very important, guys. I cannot emphasize enough the practice of gratitude and how life-changing it can be. Practice mindfulness, practice meditation. Nothing but the whole thing you spoke about, being in the moment. Again, a way of doing it, which helps me, so I'm sharing it with you. Yes, I know that I'm not focused and 100% into whatever I'm doing and completely mindful about every single thing I'm doing through the day. There are slip-ups here and there. Suddenly I realize, oh my God, where was my mind? What was I thinking? I don't know. But I was maybe either I'm cooking or I'm making my presentation or I'm sitting with a client, coaching them, whatever I'm doing. Let me say in the morning when I wake up, I put an intention that at least for this many hours or till 12 noon today, whatever I do, I'm going to do it 100%. And 100% doesn't mean that I'm just present and I'm just doing it. My mind, my attention, my focus, everything on it, and not on anything else. Even if my mind goes drifting, that's the job of the mind. It's like a monkey, it goes jumping from tree to tree like that. But even if my mind starts to drift, because it's used to doing that, I'm going to gently and lovingly bring it back to whatever I'm doing. Consciously, maybe just practice it for a little time of the day, then increase that time of the day. This is just the way we build our body, just the way we build our physical stamina. We build our emotional stamina also by these little by little workout of the emotional strength, right? So practicing mindfulness, again, extremely powerful. And start your day with the intention to surrender. The word intention carries with it a lot of power. Because if you think about it, here is a flow chart I like to talk about. Everything begins with an intention that I want to do something. And whatever is my intention, it is obviously driven by past experience or whatever, because I have an intention of doing something. So like, let me give you an example. Recently, I was doing a session with a dental college in Pune, and these were all students, first year through fifth year of college, wanting to become dentists. And because they were very, anxious and going through a lot during this time, so their dean had approached me and I had done a session for them. Now, here is the example I gave them. I said, okay, so you guys decided your intention was to become a dentist. You were very clear. You had a well-defined intention that why I want to be a dentist only, not any other type of doctor. I want to be a dentist. So it's a very focused, very specific thing that I want to put my energy into. So you have an intention of becoming somebody. Based on that intention, because you want to become a dentist, is going to come your action, your investment. Investment not only in terms of money, which college I'm going to pay money to get my admission. My intention is going to be to put my energy into it, put my effort into it, along with the money, and be dedicated to it, be diligent with it. So that's how I'm going to put my intention, my effort into it. And that's what I'm going to do. That is how I'm going to change myself. After we have invested all that we have done, then only these guys are going to become a dentist, right? You can't just say that I want to be a dentist and just sit at home and do nothing. So it all begins with an intention, is what I'm trying to say. An intention is the starting point. And whichever way you fan your intention, whichever way you feed your intention, whichever way your relationship with your intention is, are you very diligent with your intention, or it's a frivolous kind of an intention? I'll do it, I'll try it, I'll see if it happens, if it doesn't. Then the outcome will also be like that. So it's an art of becoming somebody requires an intention first. Then it requires an investment, which is connected with the intention, and then you become what you want to become. So start your day with an intention, like, instead of just having a to-do list, you can have a to-be list. Today, I'm going to be mindfully, deliberately, consciously aware and mindful that I am completely related to the moment right now, and I have a good relationship with that moment, no matter what comes up. Start by keeping that intention maybe for a couple of hours and keep stretching it. It's up to you. The next thing that I would say is drop the labels and tags. That is very important. Again, when you were talking about social media, when you're comparing with others, when you're seeing other people, we always get so attached to labels and the tags that somebody puts on us. Isn't that true? Now, there's only one thing here I will tell you. If we want to drop the labels and tags, we want to get more connected with our inner world. Because while we are in the outer world, we have no option but to go through life just reading the labels all around. This label, that label, on myself, on everybody. I have just got tons of labels that, this one is like this, that one is like that, this one is such and such, that one is such and I am like this, I am this kind of a person, this is what I believe in. So many labels. But just imagine if there is an empty bottle of jam. Okay, you're finished eating the jam, it's empty, you have washed the bottle. And if you were to get inside the bottle, do you see the label of the jam outside? You don't. Then you don't see the label. All you see is the clear glass all around you, just looking outside without the label. That's what I mean with becoming closer to your inner world, withdrawing from the outer world consciously for little time every day so that you can practice being with your own self. Once you drop the labels and tags, then it's not posing that resistance on the way, because labels are the biggest culprit. They are the ones who bring in a lot of resistance on the way, because we have put a stamping. Oh, I'm this kind of a person. When I was little, I used to keep falling sick a lot. I would have fever, cold, and cough every now and then. But some little thing. And we would have something called a monthly test in school. Ashish knows about it. So we would have monthly tests in school, and invariably, I would land up missing one test or the other because I had high fever or something or the other happened and I couldn't attend it. Now, when this went on again and again and again, it's obvious that, people started to say, including my family or people around, oh, she keeps falling sick. She's very delicate. She's not very healthy. So these statements I started hearing, and I also started experiencing. I was telling my own self, oh, I'm so delicate, I keep falling sick. And it went on and on and on. And that was the label I grew up with. And I continued with some health issue or the other, which would bother me, which would come in the way of my wanting to do what I want to do or achieve what I wanted to do. But over a period of time, as I started to evolve and meditate more and became more conscious, I started to realize, oh, this is a label. This is a label. And I, in my mind, have the choice how I want to think about that label. I am the one who can change the label. I got a marker in my hand. I just got to take that off and I got to write what I want to write on the label. It's up to me. So the moment I started to empower myself more and more and more, the label and everything dropped, and I was more in a state of what is. I am creating what is right now, because I'm constantly thinking, oh, I'm a sick person. And believe it or not, since then, and my mother, I think, is here on this session today, and she will be the best person to vouch for it. My mother, my sister, my family, they know how much more energy and health and vitality and everything I have right now in my life compared to how I used to be. But what changed? The shift was only here. There was no other shift on the outside. I continue to live my life as is, but the shift was right here. So we need to drop those labels which keep going into our belief system, and then we start living our life out of that belief system. So we can just replace some of these labels within and even outside of us. Very helpful in being in a state of surrender. The next thing that I wanted to add is some comments or something that, okay. And and then the last thing that I had here was detach from the storytelling in the mind. It's very much connected with everything else that we just talked about. Drop the labels and tags. So just detach from that, the chattering that is going on in your mind, and make it into something positive. Now, what I wanted to leave you all with is just this very powerful quote. Next time, try saying the following mantra. Okay, this is happening right now, whatever it is. What I do next is the only thing I can control. That means right now, whatever had to happen has already arrived in front of me. The only thing that I can control is what I do next. So let me take my attention to that. So that's the only thing I wanted to leave you all with. Ashish, I think we are kind of done with our time. I think we have exceeded with our time already. So I'm going to just be over to you and stop sharing my screen perhaps. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Amrita. The very many valuable points. I think what I liked the story that you shared. And I think, if we can take, my takeaway from that story is that if we can give up, we can surrender our likes and dislikes and, just experience what is, then I think we'll all be in a very happy space.
Right.
And you also mentioned a very interesting point about we all have a to-do list, but do we have a to-be list, And if we start having a to-be list that I'll be happy today, I'll be joyful today, I'll be peaceful today, I'll be mindful today, I think we'll all be very happy, peaceful, and joyful. And then, in that state, whatever we do, the kind of results that happen are very, very different.
Favorable.
That you mentioned is about gratitude, and one thing I would like to express my gratitude to is Mr. Manoj Nair, who is there on this call. And
awesome.
all of us, how many of us would like the world to be a more peaceful place, more happier place, if you would like the world to be happier and peaceful, please type HP in the chat box. Thank you, Manish. If you would like the world to be happier and more peaceful, please type HP. Thanks, Piyashi. Thanks, Nagraj. Thanks, Suresh. Thanks, Sarla. Thanks, Dr. Sarla. Thanks, Fatima. Thanks, Nina ji. Thank you so much for your wholehearted support of this concept. And one of the ways to make this world happier and peaceful is by spreading awareness about the work that we are doing at Mindful Living, because that is the mission that with which we have started Mindful Living, to reach out to people and make this community and the planet a happier, a healthier, and wealthier place to live in. And I would like to recognize Manoj. Manoj, I would request you to put on your camera so that everybody can see you. Manoj went out and spread the word about Mindful Living community to whopping 41 people, and he had 41 people subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have a YouTube channel where we put up the videos of all the sessions that we do, like the one that we do today. And, that's a repository where you can go and look up the sessions. Manoj, are you there?
Yes,
yeah,
I see him.
Ashish, thank you so much.
Hi, Manoj. Welcome and thank you. And, I would, Manoj is a very senior HR professional. Manoj, if you could share a little bit about yourself and what made you, how you took this initiative or creating awareness about mindful living.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ashish, for this recognition. So I have 22 plus years of corporate experience, and after getting associated with mindful living, I could understand this is definitely helping the community. So Ashish, very honestly, this is not me, it's your content and your initiatives that's the people are enrolling for it. Okay, while I have just been a medium to share with few of my friends, and definitely people are liking it, and people will come forward to subscribe and to implement in their life, which is going to change not only their and their family members and the people around them. It's a beautiful initiative.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Manoj. Thank you for spreading the awareness and making this world a happier and more peaceful place. Thank you, Brita. And I'm grateful to all of you who have taken out time and who have stayed through the course. This was such a passionate topic, so close to our hearts that we kind of went on beyond the scheduled time of the event, which was an hour. But I'm glad we did that. And we'll just stay for a couple of seconds and maybe a couple of minutes more to see if there are any parting questions or comments. And then we will